Greetings and welcome, my friends. You have come over to the Synthesizer Side. This is the Mirror, a synthesizer deck making use of a powerful tutor to make sure we get our synthesizer in play, or if we have one already, to fetch out another. We have some elements from the Synthesize Me series of decks to help with card draw as well as creature control. The aim is still to make an army of Robot Overlords, but this time we have better odds of getting our synthesizers in play. The intelligence is artificial, but the beatings are real, my friends. We start off with a full set of Spyglass Siren, a 1/1 flyer that makes a map token when it enters play. The token is useful at getting us a land or pumping up one of our men, but critically it can be sacrificed to a Beseech the Mirror when we fire it off to pay the bargain cost and be able to tutor for a card and play it if its mana cost is 4 or less. Hopeless Nightmare is a discard enchantment first and later on can also be sacrificed to a Beseech the Mirror to pay bargain. In a pinch, we can pay the 3 mana and sacrifice the Nightmare to get the Scry 2 if we're stuck. But generally, we do want to keep it around to sacrifice later. The Irencrag is a singleton mana artifact that gets us 1 colorless mana. This is excellent at getting us a bit of extra mana early or even later to help power out multiple cards or our big 6 mana season. 'Tis the season. The Journal lets us sacrifice an artifact or one of our men to draw a card. With the amount of extra tokens we generate, we can sacrifice some of them to draw into more ammo. This will let us keep the pressure up by continuing to make plays turn after turn. Tithing Blade is a bit of spot removal and works out great when the opponent is relying on one big monster to try to do us in. It will thin out crowds and possibly make it harder for the opponent to block if we get a large army of Robot Overlords. This is one of those artifacts that we can sacrifice to the Journal for a draw. The Synthesizer is our key card and the factory that will pump out our Robot Overlords. It's a powerhouse under the best of circumstances, but is very good under the worst. The Helm is the best sidekick to our synthesizer. Whenever we make an artifact token, it'll spit out a map token as well. Then we can pay 2 and tap it to make a token copy of any token artifact we control. An active Helm with a synthesizer can make our board snowball out of control. Patchwork Banner has worked great for us in other synthesizer decks, and we're using it here too. It ramps us as well as being a 3 mana artifact that will trigger the synthesizer. More often than not, we'll name Construct to pump up our Robot Overlords, but we can also go with one of Fleshy's types to pump up our lifelink Wurm. Beseech the Mirror is our tutor and surprise weapon to unleash the power of our synthesizer on unsuspecting enemies. For 4 mana, 3 of which have to be black, we can tutor up any card in our deck, and if we pay the bargain cost, we can put the card we tutor in play if it is 4 mana or less. Naturally, we'll use it, grab a synthesizer, and get it directly in play. That is a bargain indeed. Season of Weaving is a utility card that can draw us cards, make a copy of any artifact or creature we control, or send all permanents that aren't lands and tokens back to their owner's hand. That third ability is game over if we have a sizable army of Robot Overlords in play but can't get through because of the opponent's blockers. We can just clear the board and swing in. The copy ability can also be very strong for us, since we can make a token copy of a synthesizer, then use the Helm to make more and more token synthesizers. GG's opponent, thanks for being on the big show. Fleshy is a powerful early threat we can play out that will gain us life. Even if we play him out for the prototype cost, he'll still trigger the synthesizer and generate Robot Overlords. Later in the game, if there is a late game, we can play him out for his full cost. For lands, we have the full set of Undercity Sewers, the Dimir Surveil land, 4 Restless Reef, the Shark land, 4 Darkslick Shores, the Dimir Duel that enters play untapped in the early game, 6 Swamp, and 6 Island. Playing the deck is fairly easy with no difficult decision points early on. Generally, we want to have 3 mana on schedule to be able to play out a synthesizer or one of our other 3 mana artifacts to start setting up our board. So to that end, play out lands in a sequence that gets us to the mid-game with more mana untapped to be able to double spell or fire off a Beseech the Mirror. With Duskmourn lands available, we're likely going to take out the Dark Slick Shores and replace them with Gloom Lake Verge. the duel that taps for blue and can tap for black, but only if we control an island or a swamp. In the late game, it will enter play untapped, and that will be a greater benefit. In the mid-game, firing off a Beseech the Mirror should be a priority to pull out a synthesizer from the deck. We should have more than enough artifact tokens or a nightmare to sacrifice in order to pay the bargain. By the end of the mid-game to late game, we should be sending in teams of Robot Overlords for damages. For upgrades, bringing in 3 steps ahead could help out the deck by having a way of generating token synthesizers, as well as give the deck a counter to lean on to stop cards that destroy multiple artifacts. Bringing in Fabled Passage to help find the right color lands could also be a potential upgrade, as we do need to have 3 black for Beseech the Mirror. That's the deck, boys. Let's go play some games.
Do you want to play a game?
This is Johnny 5. Don't ask me how I know. We get a very clumsy-looking 4-lander to kick things off. This looks way too risky to keep. Mull. Then we get a shuffler special. Can we go back to the first hand? We'll keep this before it gets any worse. One of the seasons will have to go down under. Keep your hopes up. We'll hit Johnny 5 with a nightmare, and let's keep an eye on what they toss out. They threw out a not on my watch. A removal might be coming in handy later, bro. I don't know about tossing that out. They play out a mountain, and they've shown us their colors. Bore us, but they go without any plays. We draw into a shark land, and we'll go ahead and play it. They play out a Caretaker's Talent, so they'll be going full token. I'm surprised they haven't had any plays up to this point. But them being slow has given us time to recover from our mull. The Shuffler gives us the biggest gift, and it's not even Sharkmas yet. We'll play it out right away. In my haste to get it down, I played the Swamp. The Shores should have been next to go down. All right, Johnny 5, you're going to want to make some plays here. Good ones. A hop to it is not bad. That's a full 3-man squad over there with only 1 card used, and they go ahead and make a copy right away. We'll get busy playing out our second synthesizer. That gets us our first Robot Overlord with more to come. Let's see what we've got coming. We'll take the fleshy, but the land can kiss it. Down under you go. They go full rabbit and level up their talent to level 3. The boost to their token's amazing. They're 3/3 men, and that's 4 of them. I do give a block. We can't just take 12 here. They could have burned, so let's try to stay at 4 life or more the rest of this game. All right, Fleshy, get in there, bro. We're counting on you. They play out another land that hits us for 1. That's the least of our worries. They fire off a removal at one of our Robot Overlords. His circuits scream, "I'll be Bach before he sizzles." And that's another removal. Our Robot Overlords have been taken out. The problem for them is that there is no way they can keep that up, and we've got more Robot Overlords on the way. There is never just 1 or 2. There's an entire army being produced at the factory. And they're down to just 2 rabbit men. They'd better get to multiplying. I don't care that they're 2 boys. They gotta make it happen somehow. That's a decent squad over there. The Nemesis could be a problem, but we can navigate around that guy carefully. Let's go ahead and block up their rabbits. That's those guys done with. As much as I would like to clear out the Nemesis now, I think we can take the hit. They've got only 1 mana left, and only one card in hand. Plus, they won't be able to block Fleshy when we swing in. And if we lose Fleshy, we'd also lose our Robot Overlords. Let's not block the Nemesis. The time to beseech some mirrors has come. Let's go get another synthesizer. No way, we had a third synthesizer in the top 2 cards. It was right there, we didn't have to tutor for it. Oh well, the deed is done. Let's get on with it. I'm tempted to grab the third Fleshy, but of all our cards, another synthesizer could seal the deal. We get a couple more Robot Overlords, and that's another Tithing Blade on top. We'll want that, but let's send the land on down. Let's send our men. Beatings don't deliver themselves. We have to send it. Sunfall, bro. That's your best chance. Sunfall or go home with a broken face. Okay, more blockers it is then. It's a squad, but one we're not afraid of. Tithing Blade will cut their numbers, and we'll fire off the second one as well. Enjoy the free trip to Belize. I know. We win if we send the team. Get in there, right? But I wanted to see what would happen with the Nemesis. This is the first one I've ever seen get played. For curiosity's sake, we'll let them have another turn. If they take the hit, then we let the Nemesis through if they swing in. The rabbits will block all day long and twice on fun day. All right, they do block up. Let's hit the Nemesis. We still gain the life, but take 3 from the Nemesis. And we get a Nemesis emblem. Now we know. Opponent doesn't want to get smashed to a high negative number, so they scoop it up. GG's, bro. Thank you for your cooperation. This is DJ Ango. No, wait, it's DJ NGO, and Chango was his name O. We get a 4-lander with a banner, a nightmare, and a fleshy. Last time we mulled out of a 4-lander and got a shuffler special. Let's not do that. Keep your pants on. Our surveil lets us see a helm on top. We've got no tokens to copy, but the helm is the 1-2 punch in a synthesizer deck, so we'll keep it. Another Boros deck, but this one looks like it might be based on mono red. These people never know when to leave well enough alone. Let's make them toss a card. But it's not like we can do much of anything else. At least we are on the play, so they won't have the advantage of going first. They threw out a land. Maybe they kept a 4-lander too. A Feather of Flight is not what I would have expected to see. Are the wheels and pants already falling off our boy over there? This has to be a fleshy turn. We'll play him out, and we'll trade blows with them, not getting much of anywhere. This is one of those weird Boros decks, I guess. We're losing our fleshy to an enchantment removal, and we've got a long way to go before we can get him back out. We'll play out the banner. We can go with pumping fleshy, or we can pick our Robot Overlords. We have no idea which one we'll get first. Let's go with Robot Overlords. That looks like 5 damages coming in. We'll be at the mercy of what we draw into because we've got nothing in hand to counteract what they played out. An island is spot on. Let's go ahead and fire off one of our season's greetings, bro. Happy get your stuff back in hand day. Fleshy comes back, and he's not happy he was put in prison. He's his full-sized self and ready to throw beatings. Sure, they could play out their enchantment removal again, but this time it's going to be a pricey hit on their life total. Instead, they go with their hero and the Feather of Flight. That's such a devastating play, I might have to concede. Replaying our banner, but this time we're pumping Fleshy. He's going to hit them where it really hurts. In their life total. Not just 1 pump, but 2, and we'll also play out the Nightmare again for another 2 points. Damages, bro, damages. Drawing that island changed the entire course of this game. We've gone up to 18, and they're down to only 4. Sunfall or go home, bro. They can't even use their enchantment removal anymore. Oopsie poopsie. Weird bore us down and out. GG's, bro. This is X Smell a Ball X. That name smells alright. We found ourselves with a shuffler special. We're loaded with a pair of synthesizers. We've got a surveil land, and that can help us dig out a 3rd land. Let's risk it. Keep. They surveil and bin an Itali. The first thing you have to think is Reanimator. Okay, time for our surveil. What's it gonna be? A 3rd land, that's exactly what we need. Strap on your big boy pants, we're landing a synthesizer turns 3 and 4. We're not concerned about any beanstalks. Let them eat their own beans. Like a pie. All right, Siren, get in there. Make them think we're something we're not. We know they're up to getting big men in play, but our Robot Overlords might end up bigger than anything they could throw down. Let's see what our first synthesizer shows us. That's a 3rd one, boys. It's a synthesizer parade. We'll actually keep the land on top, as we do want to get to 4 mana, and we have the 2nd synthesizer to play out next turn anyways. All they do is play a land and pass the turn. That's too bad. For them. 2nd synthesizer inbound, and our first Robot Overlord gets stamped fresh out of the factory. We have a 5th land right under the next synthesizer. Let's hang on to it. It's possible we could end up needing to fire off our season this game. They make a token blocker, but they need more than that. They will find themselves at the wrong end of a robot army. They go another turn without plays. Well, it's time to land our 3rd synthesizer. 3 turns in a row of all synthesizer, and all they've added on was a token. That Tithing Blade will mess up some blocking math. We'll hang on to it. they block with their fish. The AI will eat whatever stands in their way, even fish and chips, or sushi. Reanimator it is then. Itali, just as we had suspected at the beginning of the game. It's too bad for them that their big guy will look like a shrimp in comparison to our Robot Overlords. Oopsie poopsie. They played those out in the wrong order. That's a total botch, but even if they had done it right, they were still getting overpowered by our squad of robots. The hits keep coming. We've gotten to 6 lands in play, and we also have a tutor on top. All 4 synthesizers in one game? That's a good possibility now. When the 1111s go marching in, they'll squish a frog and a dino. We can beseech and make some copies as well. The firepower on our side is devastating. Apparently an Itali is not enough to seal the deal. GG's, bro. GG's. This is Domino's Pizza. No, wait, it's DM Neo. I could use a slice, bro. For this game, we did swap out the Dark Slick Shores for the Gloom Lake Verge. This 3-lander is not bad. We have a Siren to play out right away and follow it up with the Journal. As we like to say around here, keep your pants on. It's Golgari with discard. Out of what we have, I think the Journal is the most expendable. We do want everything else. We draw into a synthesizer that is so perfectly timed, the Nightmare will make them go down a card as well as take a 2-point hit. We'll go in after we use the map token. I think we can afford to trade blows early considering what we have in hand. They're not afraid to trade blows either. We're only slightly ahead, but our synthesizer and fleshy will let us pull further ahead. They burn their fungus right away. Maybe we should have baited them with a banner first. Let's send the Siren on down, but we'll keep the second banner. Fleshy Pump will be good here. That's right, we're going to show them our big Wurm, and they'll be staring right at it without being able to look away. That's 2 turns without any plays. What do they have in hand? We get a second synthesizer. But since they smashed the first one, maybe we should be careful. You know what? No fear is how we play around here. Let's throw down. They hit our synthesizer with removal. It's unfortunate, but we do get a land out of the deal, and that will get us to the 6 mana we need for the season. They play out a Sentinel. It's their first guy. It is a bit beefy, but we can trade blows once we get our Fleshy on board. In fact, we should play the Banner and Fleshy on our next turn. When life gives you synthesizers, you make Robot Overlords. This time around, we'll stick to Plan Fleshy and send him on in. With only one guy in play, they won't be able to block our big Wurm. We'll be able to slap them with it across their face. They rip the synthesizer right out of our hand. Lucky for us, we still have Fleshy, and we can make a copy of him on our turn. Well, there goes Plan Fleshy. Who knew we'd be playing against removal deck? We can fire off our season and make a copy of a banner. Then we'll have enough to play out our last synthesizer and get a few draws as well. We don't have time for 1/1 men anymore. Let's send the Siren on down. The journal will get us draws, so we'll keep it. Apparently, they finally ran out of removals for our synthesizer. They can have a Helm. We only need one. We'll play out our Helm, generate an Overlord, and then we'll copy it with the Helm while they're tapped out. And we'll play the Journal as well. We could draw, but let's not give up any cards to discard if they have more. They'll need to figure out how to deal with our Robot Overlords now. With our fourth and final synthesizer, we get them GG's extra cheese. And that, my friends, is another satisfied customer.